camera. Welcome to our cooking channel, Wyoming Dutch Oven Cooking. Welcome and thank you for joining us today, and welcome to my kitchen. We were going to do something really fun outside today, but we're in the middle of October, and guess what? It's turning to snow again. But this is a perfect opportunity to show you whatever you can do outside over a fire or briquette, you can do inside in your own oven. We are doing Butte Pasties today. Actually, we're going to be doing 2 of them, and hang in there to the very end. I'm doing a very special one that I want to show you. First thing we're going to do here is I have cubed up about a pound of chuck roast and a half a pound of pork sausage, and I'm going to fry it in my cast iron skillet on my stove with onions that we've prepared, and we've finely diced carrots and parsnips and new little potatoes, which we'll be adding all of that after we brown this. So we'll see you just in a bit after we get this browned, and I'll show you how we put this all together and cook it and make these wonderful pasties. Okay, great, I browned my meat and it looks wonderful. So now what we're gonna do is add our vegetables, and then we're gonna put it back on the stove and cook it probably for a while longer to tenderize all these veggies. And we've got a medium-sized onion. Of course, once again, all of this stuff is out of our wonderful garden. And boy, these onions are potent, I'll tell you. Okay, and we've got about 1.5 cups of finely diced. You want your veggies finely diced, because remember, you're putting these into these pasties and you don't want big chunks. There goes our carrots. We've got parsnips out of our garden, my goodness. And then, of course, new little potatoes, finely diced. We're going to put this back on the stove, put the lid on it, and let it simmer a while and let this cook down. And I've gone ahead and put it in my meat when I was cooking it, but I did a teaspoon of garlic, a teaspoon of black pepper, and I love this seasoning. It's Bragg seasoning. It's 24 herbs and spices, and you can go onto our website, which I'll tell you about that in a little bit, and you can order some of my favorite spices I love to cook with. Okay, we're gonna get this cooking, and we'll be back in a little bit, and I'll show you how to assemble this and show you how we're gonna cook it in the oven. Okay, great, thanks. All right, our filling got all done. It's cooling here a little bit. While that's cooling, I'm going to tell you about my pastry dough. And what it is flour, butter, real butter, and a little bit of Crisco, and 1 egg, tablespoon of vinegar, and ice cold water. And what you do is you mix your flour to, you put that in a bowl, and then you work in your butter and Crisco until it forms little crumbs. Anyway, and you don't want to overwork it. And as you can see, I've gone ahead of time and made them into individual little balls. And I've rolled this out. We're going to put some of this filling on. The history with the pasties is quite interesting. What they used to do years ago, this was for the miners, this was their meal. Their wives prepared them. So you fold that over like that. And you wanted a thick edge along the edge. This is how they did it back for the miners. The wives did. And there's a reason for this thick. They called it a handle. And the reason why they had this handle is because the miners couldn't wash their hands when they were down there in the mines. And so that was something for them to hang on to while they were eating them. And then the other thing is they believed in ghosts from the previous miners that had died down in the mine shafts. And what they did is when they got done, they threw away those edges so to keep the ghosts away. I thought that was quite interesting. And the other thing that is interesting with them is it was a family thing. And not everybody liked the same kind of vegetables that put in them. So they were kind of individualized. And they would put their initials on the pasty so they know which one was theirs. And then when you're done with this, I'm going to put some slits, about 2 or 3 of them, to let the steam out. And then I'm going to Brush it with a little bit of cream. And then we're going to bake it in our Dutch oven here. And I love this Dutch oven for cooking inside. It's one of these enamel ones, cast iron with enamel. And if you go to our website, which is wyomingdutchovencooking.com, you can order some of my favorite spices on there and this wonderful cookware. And we are an Amazon affiliate, so it doesn't cost anything more for you. It just gives us a little bit of a commission for doing these videos. And what I'm going to do now is very carefully, which I can see I'm going to need a spatula to put this into my Dutch oven. And I've lined this with parchment paper because these are kind of like pies. They'll have a tendency to kind of ooze out and leak, and the parchment paper just kind of helps with that. So you don't have a big mess in here. Okay, I'm gonna finish doing up all of these, and so we'll see in a little bit, and we'll bake them in the oven. And what we're gonna do is bake this in our oven at 350 for about an hour. Okay, we'll see in a little bit. With my pasty dough, it takes 3 3/4 cups of white flour and 3/4 cup of shortening and a 1/2 cup of real butter. And what you do is you mix that in together till it's crumbly, and then you add 1 beaten egg, a 1/2 cup of ice cold water, and a tablespoon of vinegar. And you mix that real well, not over mixing it, of course. And then you shape them into about the size of a baseball. And anyway, and then you put it on here on wax paper with flour. And this size will make probably about a 6 to 8 inch round circle. I try to make them in a round circle, and then you just roll it over after you put your filling in. Of course, the wax paper wants to move around, but that's all right, we'll get it. This is a richer, flakier dough with all that wonderful butter and the egg. My goodness. Okay, that's about the size you want. Okay, and then you put your filling on top. And you do want this to cool, because it just makes it a lot easier working and handling it. Of course, as my husband always says, I overfill everything, but that's all right. And then you put a little bit of butter on top. My goodness, can't go bad on that, huh? And then you fold this over like that. And then you roll your edges. As you can see how I've done that one. You roll your edges and pinch them together to seal that. You know, making pie crust is incredibly easy, or pastry dough. I find it very easy. And what works really good is you can make these ahead of time. Do not bake them, wrap them up in wax paper, or saran wrap, and freeze them. And they are wonderful to take out when you're out camping, and you can bake them in your Dutch oven. There you go. Okay, we'll continue doing this. Of course, you always make a mess when you're doing this kind of stuff, but that's the fun of baking, right? Do you remember when I told you earlier in the video to stay with me that I had something very special towards the end? This is a very, very special pasty. And I'll give you a little bit of history as I make it. And of course, here's my dough that I'm going to be rolling out here. You know, those wives back then really wanted to take care of their husbands. when they went down into those mines. Because, you know, it was a very, very dangerous job. You did not know if they were going to come out. Which, my goodness, is that sad. A lot of miners lost their lives down there. All right, my wax paper is misbehaving again. I'll get it. I hope you're enjoying this with us today. This is incredibly yummy. Okay. There we go. It's not a perfect circle, but believe me, we're not here for perfection. Okay, now the secret to this is, watch what I'm doing here. We're going to put filling down here, our meat filling. And there was a little surprise in this one for their husbands. One end was dinner, the other end was dessert. And it was a fruit filling of some sort that they had that they could make for them back then. And what we have here is, we have strawberry filling. Now I'm going to very carefully fold this over. And then what they did is, this one's kind of lopsided, but it'll work. What they did is they marked it. So they made a little mark down here at the end that this was dessert and this was dinner. You know, I got to thinking about this. I don't know if those wives knew that their husbands probably ate their dessert first. That's what I would do. Eat my dessert first and then eat my dinner. But isn't that a fun thing that they did for them? Okay. I'm going to continue doing these. We have a couple more to do here. And then we'll continue baking them and we'll show you at the end how beautiful this is going to be. Just remember to subscribe, share with your family and friends, hit that like button, and leave a comment. Please leave a comment. All right, we'll see you in a bit here. All our wonderful pasties got done. Look at them, they turned out golden brown, perfect. Remember, we do have two different kinds here. This is your traditional Irish pasty, and this is the Butte Miners pasty. And as you can see, there's the dessert, and there's your meat. Just remember to please subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment. Share with all of your family and friends. We really appreciate that. And our motto is, great food shared with family and friends equals great times. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you. And here's to all of our viewers and subscribers, thank you.